lot of things we've been telling you here on Eyewitness News for this Friday at 5 o'clock haven't been too pleasant. That's going to change right now.
Right now. Jerry, you know, this week I suddenly realized I hadn't given us our art in weather entry for this week. Remember, 2 weeks ago it was this one. It was this ceramic piece over here. Do you remember that one 2 weeks ago? And then last week it was the acrylic painting of the meteor shower. Do you recall that? And the one for today is a metal sculpture, and it is delightful. This was made, and I lost the fellow's name. He's a welder. His name was Tom, and I sure wish he'd send in his name and address again on this one. Thank you very much.
Is that a contest?
No, it's just that they've been coming in. Next week, we've got music as the art in music. It's the Dr. George Boogie being played at the moment down on station KWIZ in Santa Ana.
Dr. George Boogie, you old disco duck.
You know it? Ha! Ha! All right. Forecast most coastal areas, night and morning low clouds. Otherwise, it's going to be mostly fair tonight, right on through Sunday. The mountains and the deserts are fair with some high cloudiness at times. But pay attention to the local gusty afternoon winds, 15, 25 miles an hour, slightly warmer in most areas on Sunday. And that's it. Expect what we have today to continue right on through the weekend. Today, the fog hung into Malibu. There was lots of stratocumulus along the coast in the morning. It should stay through the weekend just the same way. Very little change. No major changes anyway. There's no place for a low to go with a block like the one we've got. No great changes. By 48, well, come on over. I'll show you what's going to happen within 48 hours over on our satellite chart over here. This is the way it is now. And here's our cutoff low over here. Here's the cutoff high. What did we call it? A Rex block. A Rex block. And we said that those things are so stable, it's hard to beat. What does it look like? All right. From a photograph taken 1/10 of the way to the moon. Here's that low, and here's the high pressure in here, and it's just very, very stable. These are the low clouds that came in this morning. All right, would you like to see it for Sunday? This is it for Sunday. My goodness, no change at all. And except this, you notice there's a little ridge over us. That means it's going to get better. Okay, I mean, not better, but it's going to be warmer and clearer and more late night and early morning low clouds. What does it look like? A little closer. Isn't that wound up? Look at that. That's wound up like a spring. And here we are with our low clouds down in this area. How about our national picture? Well, there's rain over in the East Coast, and there's drizzle up here in southern Canada, down here in the banana belt of Canada around Toronto. And there's rain down here in western PA, and, of course, there's rain out in this area as well, but delightful over in our own area. Our surf is interesting, 4 to 6 for the most part, 4 to 7 down there in... yeah.
Don't do that, George. I have to read. Jerry says you're going to hurt yourself. Doing Dr. George Boogie. And Jerry knows. You'll see him discoing most weekends here in town. We'll bring you up to date on the weekend gasoline situation, and in Espedrosa we'll have some hints on how to save money on your meat bill right after this. Starting Monday, we'll begin a 10-part series of reports on the Southland's gasoline situation, what you can look forward to over the summer months. Now, we checked for this coming weekend, and here's what we learned. The Auto Club of Southern California tells us that 2/3 of the gas stations will be closed this Sunday, and about 1/4 will be closed on Saturday. Metropolitan areas will again have the greatest number of closures. What it all means is that gas will be available this weekend if you have to travel. But finding an open station will still be a problem. And gas prices, well, they'll be up about 4 cents a gallon this weekend. And they've gone up about 4 cents, we should say, in about the last 3 weeks alone. The Auto Club's advice is don't take long trips if you don't have to, and fill up early Saturday, since a lot of stations will close in the afternoon to save their supplies. You can bet right now there are long lines as well, people trying to fill up to beat the Saturday rush.
Sure. Good way to forget about the gas situation. Used to be a day of sports fishing on the open sea. Not anymore. as Orange County correspondent Jim Ryerson now reports.
These people are just returning from a relaxing day of sport fishing off the Orange County coast. But even out there, they couldn't get away from our current energy situation. The cost of going fishing is definitely going up, and it's directly related to fuel costs. As the price of the diesel these big ocean-going babies burn keeps rising, you'll pay for it. For example, a day of sport fishing is $6 higher than it was just a short time ago.
We've been able to get as much fuel as we want, but we've had to pay more for it. And so that's naturally reflected in the charge we make to our customers for going out on the boats.
And we're lucky here because at least we have it. San Diego has been hit extremely hard, to the point that some boats in their big tuna fleet have been stuck in dock for lack of diesel. You can watch for that business loss to be reflected on your grocer's shelves. Now, some sport fishing boats have even sailed up here all the way from San Diego just to fill their 1,000-gallon tanks. Those in the business realize, however, that if prices go much higher, people could learn to live without some of their recreational activities, like sport fishing, which would leave a lot of people in the business here high and dry. So the people in the fishing business are in the same energy boat as all the rest of us. Although these babies run on the water, they also run on quite a bit of diesel fuel. Jim Ryerson, Channel 7 Eyewitness News, Newport Harbor.
If you're the family shopper, you won't be surprised to learn that beef prices jumped over 50% last year. The experts tell us prices will level off, but Inez Pedrosa also will tell us now one way we can save on meat prices right now, right here and now.
That's right. Harold, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the average retail price for a pound of beef in Los Angeles is $2.40. Here's another reality. According to my sources, there just isn't enough beef to go around. Cattle herds are down 16%, while our population is up over 2%. Therefore, what are alternatives? Well, we can keep paying through the teeth for our beef, we can boycott meat in general, or we can join Europeans and eat such organ or variety meats as tripe, tongue, sweetbreads, kidneys, liver, or brains. Now, before you turn up your nose, consider the following. The prices per pound on the items I've just mentioned vary from only 89 cents to $1.99. If that isn't enough to persuade you, perhaps this famous chef can.
We cook veal tongues and we prepare them in, cook them with some onions, some carrots, and brown this vegetable before, and then cook the tongue with a little bit of white wine and cook it for about an hour and a half like that in the oven. And then we pour the tongue off, strain our sauce, and add some mustard in it and a little touch of butter. The kidneys is the same. They have to be fresh lamb kidneys. You just put the veins out of the kidneys, peel them, slice them in small slices, in thin slices, saute them very fast so that they still stay a little bit medium rare. They shouldn't be well done. And then deglaze it with some port wine, reduce the port wine, add a little bit of butter and pour them over the kidney or put the whole thing together. The brains you have to poach at first, put it in cold water and bring it to a boil. Then you put it again under cold water until they get cold. Slice it in half an inch thick scallops. You put flour on each side, you saute them after in hot butter that they get nice and brown on each side. You remove the brain from your casserole and add a little bit of fresh butter, a little bit of capers, and a little bit of lemon pieces.
Liver.
We slice it in maybe half an inch thick slices so that they take a little longer to cook, and we cook it maybe half a minute to a minute on each side, that the liver should still be pink in the inside. We remove it on a plate, then put some chopped shallots in the same pan and saute until they get lightly brown, and then we deglaze it with a little bit of a sherry vinegar and pour the whole thing over the liver.
In all seriousness, I hope this feature will encourage you to experiment and seek other alternatives to stretching your meat budget. Although I must admit, eating brains needs a little getting used to. Jerry, back to you.
Harold would admit to more than that. That was a good chef you had there.
Yes, he's excellent.
A real authority. That quake we told you about, which struck San Francisco at 4:48 this afternoon, we know now that it registered 4.3 on the Richter scale. We know, too, that it was centered about 20 miles southwest of Berkeley. Some windows were reported broken in Petaluma, 35 miles north of San Francisco. No serious damage has been reported, and there are no known injuries. So, no need to call, okay?
And a tip of the hat for those who didn't.
All right.
This was not a good day for the greatest, and Ed Arnold has a live report from the Big A in Anaheim in just a moment.
A minor traffic accident at 6th Street and Wilton Place this morning made news because of one person involved. The tan Rolls Royce was driven by boxing champ Muhammad Ali. The green car, driven by Edgar De Leon, was westbound on 6th Street when it happened. He turned left on Wilton, and he met the champ right there in the intersection. Each man was alone in the car. De Leon was cut in the forehead, didn't require medical attention. Ali, as usual, didn't have a mark on him. And we turn to sports now. Ed Arnold takes us to the Big A, where the Angels are trying to make a mark, right?
They really are, Jerry. You guys are aware of the problems. You know, Baltimore just left town. The Angels need to try to snap that 4-game losing streak, but it's against a red-hot Boston Red Sox team led by former USC star Fred Lynn, and it's going to be tough. Tony Hernandez is at the Big A with my boyhood idol. Tony?
Ed, the leaders in the Eastern Division will take on the team that was leading the Western Division, the Boston Red Sox and the Angels here at the Big A tonight. The leader in home runs in the American League is with me, Fred Lynn, the Red Sox center fielder. You're off to a tremendous start, Fred.
Well, the home run department off to the best start I've ever had in my career. But as far as hitting the ball consistently, I'm not really hitting the ball the way I'd like to. You know, I'm trying to pull the ball too much. I think I got home run-itis, you know, home run on the brain a little bit too much now, and I got to start going back to left field a little bit more.
It's interesting. Your ball club is on a 7-game winning streak. The Angels were on a 10-game winning streak. They're now on a 4-game losing streak. This is a very funny game, this sport of baseball.
That's right. It goes up and down, and the Angels are going to be right up there, believe me, throughout the whole season. And we're going to have a tough series with these guys. I know I am glad that we're not going to see Noli and Tanana through the series, but I expect that it'll be a good series.
It must play in the back of your mind what happened last season, a big lead, one you lost, and the Yankees winning in a 1-game playoff.
Well, to tell you the truth, most of guys really don't think about it too much. No, to tell you quite honestly, pretty professional bunch of guys here, and we just go out and do our job the best that we can every day, and what happens, happens, and that's history, you know. We don't dwell on history or the past, and we just look forward to the game ahead.
You don't feel you have anything to prove that last year might have been a fluke?
No, I don't think so. We won 99 ball games last year, and I don't think that was a fluke. You know, it just wasn't enough. It was one short. I don't think we're going to have to win 99 to win it this year. The division is even tougher than it was last year, and as you guys saw Baltimore, they have very, very good pitching, and we're all going to be busy knocking each other off, so I think around 94, 95 games to win it this year.
Fred, thank you very much for talking to us.
Okay, it's been my pleasure.
Back to you, Ed.
The Dodgers-Mets game in New York's been postponed because of rain. They'll play a doubleheader on Sunday. Only one game in the majors this afternoon. Andre Dawson and Fullerton's Gary Carter smashed 2 home runs each, driving in 3 runs apiece to lead the Montreal Expos over the San Francisco Giants 14-8. In our continuing look at next week's pro football draft, computer expert Bud Goody and one who should know, Pittsburgh wide receiver Lynn Swann, look at the Super Bowl teams, Dallas and Pittsburgh.
Bud, let's talk about the Super Bowl teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Dallas Cowboys. Now, whatever weakness they have, it's not that big a deal because they were in the Super Bowl. But as far as the draft in 1979, what weaknesses do those teams have that they could help themselves with in the draft?
Well, let's take a look at the 79 draft for the Cowboys. In the 1978 season, on opponent first downs passing, Lynn, that's a defensive passing stat, they gave up 30% of all pass attempts against them went for first downs. By contrast, your Pittsburgh Steelers, near the top of the league on this stat, gave up 25%. Now, apparently you guys saw something in the Super Bowl because against the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, you earned 45% of all pass attempts for first downs. That's almost 1 out of 2. So obviously they need help in defensive backs. On the other hand, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a weakness on the running game. They're earning 3.58, say 3.6 yards per rush. Even though Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier get a lot of publicity, something has happened to that offensive line. I think I know what it is, to make them rank 23rd in the league on yards per carry.